Lesson 31. Objective is to divide decimal dividends by non-unit decimal divisors. Number 1 says estimate and then divide. An example has been done for you. Take the time to look at the example. I'm going to jump straight into 1A here. So 1A, we have a dividend of 61 6/10 and a divisor of 0 8/10 or 8/10. First thing we want to do is, and I'm going to follow the pattern of going through these steps and then estimating to find my estimated quotient, and then do my standard algorithm to find my true quotient. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to take my dividend, put it over top of my divisor. Then we're going to go ahead and say, well, in order to get my divisor to be greater than 1, I would have to multiply by the equivalent form of 1 in fraction form of 10 over 10. So let's take a look here. We have 61 6/10 over 8/10. So times 10 over 10. If I multiply by 10, we know that that's very similar to just going just like that. So let's look at 8/10 on our base value chart. If I was to multiply 8/10 by 10, I would just move here and I would be in my ones place. So 8/10 times 10 is 8. And in like fashion, if I multiplied 61 6/10 times 10, it would be 616. So now I say, well, 616 divided by 8. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can use some basic estimation and say, well, 616 is around, I have my 64 here and I have 61 here. 61 tens and 6 ones is around 64 tens. So I have 64 tens. And the reason why I'm doing that is because 64 is a multiple of 8. So when I divide by 8, it'll be nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But not just 8, it has to be 8 tens. Since I have 64 tens divided by 8, it will be 8 tens. All right, so my true quotient should be somewhere around 80. Let's go ahead and do the standard algorithm for the division. So I have 616 divided by 8. Well, first step, if you need to write these steps out, go ahead and write them out. Does McDonald's sell burgers raw? We know that it stands for division, multiplication, subtraction, bring down, repeat. That's all you're doing is repeating those steps. Let's go ahead and divide. So I like to use the money analogy. So we have $616, and we want to share that with between 8 people, including ourselves. We're going to share that between 8 people. So I say, well, if I had $600 bills, would I be able to give everybody one? No. So $600 bills cannot be evenly divided by 8 people without getting change or without me decomposing it. So now here comes the decomposition. Watch this. Next step, I did my division. Next step is multiply. 0 times 8, 0. Next step, subtract. 6 minus 0, 6. Next step, bring down. And then we're going to repeat. I bring down my 1. Now I have 61 divided by 8. So now I started off with $600 bills. Now I have 61 $10 bills. Right? 600 is equal to 60 tens. So now I had 1 10 left, so that's 61 tens. So if I had 61 $10 bills, would I be able to divide that by 8 people? Yes. It's not quite 64, so we know it's going to be 56. How many times is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 times 7 is 56. Right there, that was my division and multiplication. 61 divided by 8 is 7. 7 times 8 is 56. Now I need to do my subtraction. Well, I have 1 1 and I want to take away 6 ones. A red flag should go up. I need to do something, and it's going to be to decompose this 6 tens. I'm going to take one of my tens. Now I have 5 tens, but I'm going to take that one 10 that I took away, and I'm going to make it into 10 ones. So now I have 5 10s and 11 ones, which is equal to 6 10s and 1 1. 5 10s was 50, plus 11 ones is still 61. Now I have 11 minus 6 is 5. 5 10s minus 5 10s is 0. Next step, bring down. Walk through the steps again. After I bring down, I'm going to repeat. Divide. 56 divided by 8 is, once again, 7. And I'm finished. 7 times 8 is 56. Do my subtraction, I get 0. So my true answer is 77. It's equal to 77. And 77 is very close to 80. I'm going to pick up the pace here. Same thing. Rewrite as a fraction. Now here I have hundredths divided by tenths. I'm still concerned with my divisor. It doesn't matter if I have a decimal in my dividend, or my numerator in this case. I'm concerned with my denominator or my divisor. This right here, since it's out to tenths, I'm going to multiply by 10 over 10. It tells you what you need to multiply by this place value. Tenths has the word 10 inside of it. So I know I'm going to multiply by 10 over 10, which is really equal to 1 whole. So now let's go ahead and do the multiplication. Easiest way for me is to just remind you of this step. So I'm just going to go over one place value. Because remember, if I had 7 tenths and I multiplied it by 10, my 7 is just going to move over one place value unit. This is my ones place. This is my tenths place. So my 7 is just going to move over one place value unit. So I show that by moving my decimal place. And in this case, it will be 7. Here, it's going to become 57 and 4 tenths. So now let's look at our 57 here. So I say, well, what number is 57 close to on my multiples of 7? Hopefully you said 56. So I know that this is going to be around, I'm estimating 56 and 0 tenths divided by 7. Let's free up some space here, erase some things. All right, so now I say, well, 56 divided by 7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our answer should be somewhere around 8. So let's take a look and see. Do our true division. So I have 57 and 4 tenths divided by 7. You say, well, if I had $57.04, would I be able to take my 5 tens and give each of my 7 my 7 friends a $10 bill? No, I would not. So I cannot divide 5 tens by 7 people. I have to decompose it or get change. So 7 times 0, 0, 5 minus 0, 5. Now my 5 tens, when I bring down the 7, it's going to become 57 ones. Well, can I divide 57 ones by 7 people? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you see this 8 is already there in my ones place. 8 times 7 is 56. I like to list those multiples out. All right, 8 times 7 is 56. 57 minus 56 is 1. Bring down my 4. I have 14 divided by 7 is 2 right there. And I'm done. So my true answer is 8 and 2 tenths. Our estimated answer was 8. Okay, let's keep going. Next, I'm doing the same thing, estimating and dividing. So we're going to estimate. I like to get all the way down to this step, and then I estimate. All right, I would suggest that you do the same. You can estimate from here, but it's going to be a little bit difficult with the decimals if you don't get rid of that decimal first in your divisor. All right, so I'm going to rewrite it just as it is. 4 and 74 hundredths divided by 6 hundredths. All right, and that's going to be equal to 4 and 76 hundredths divided by 6 hundredths. Since they both say hundredths, it doesn't matter that I'm looking at just my divisor. But in most cases, or in all cases rather, you're always looking at what place value that's in. It says your answer in the name. Hundredths has hundreds in it. So I know I'm going to divide by 100 over 100 because that's equal to 1 whole. And all I'm doing is times 10 times 100. That's going to be 474 times 10 times 100. That's going to be 6. So I say, well, what multiple of 6 is close to 47? Hopefully you said 48. Now you say, well, why did you go to the hundreds and the tens place and not the ones place? I'm not concerned with that. When in our estimation, we're doing front end estimation. So I know it's going to be 480 divided by 6. 480 divided by 6. Remember, that's 48 tens. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tens. So it's going to be, our answer is going to be around 80. Let's go ahead and do the standard algorithm of the division here. So I have 474 divided by 6. I know that 400s, I cannot divide 400s by 6 people. So 0 times 6. 4 minus 0, bring down 47 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be too much, so it would have to be 7. 7 times 6 is 42. 47 minus 42 is 5. Bring down my 4, and I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my answer is 79. And 79 is around 80. That checks out. Our estimate was very accurate. All right, B, 2B. I have 19 and 44 hundredths divided by 54 hundredths. So I don't know my 54 times tables. All right, so this is where you could estimate and say, well, this is around 20 divided by 5 tenths. So if I had $20 and I split it into groups of 50 cents, how many 50 cents or how many half a dollars could I get out of $20? And if you need to put that 0 in, you can. So I know that it's going to be around 40. And that's just me doing that based off of the numbers that were given. If we walk through the other steps, let's go ahead and write our line out to the 5. Go ahead and walk through the steps. So I know that they're both out the hundredths, so I'm going to multiply by hundredths. Excuse me, I'm going to multiply by 100 over 100. And I'm going to get 1,944 divided by 54. All right? Something a little bit more different than what we're used to. But if you wanted to, you can just say, well, I know that 1 times 54, and I'm going to write my multiples of 54 right here. 1 times 54 is 54. 2 times 54 would be 54 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. So that's going to be 108. 3 times 54 would be 54 times 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup my 110. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is 16. So I know it's going to be 162. And then 4 times 54, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1. Let's just go up to 6 maybe. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 2, 270. And last but not least, 54 times 6. I usually go up to 9. You know what? Let's just go all the way up. 4 times 6 is 24. 5 times 4. Excuse me, 5 times 6 is 30 plus 2, 32. Then we have 54 times 7. 4 times 7, 28. 5 times 6. 5 times 7, excuse me, it's late. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 2, 37. Last two. 32. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 3. And last but not least, 8 times 4 is 36. And 8 times 5 is 45. 6%, 48. All right, let's go ahead and get those down. All right, so there's our multiples of our first 9 multiples of 54. Let's do the long division here. And I'm gonna just for space wise, I'm gonna do it in the area right here off to the side. I have 54. Can 54 go into 1,000? So can I take $1,000 bill and divide it by 54 people? 1 divided by 54. No, I cannot. 54 times 0 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down my 9. 19 hundredths. If I had $1,900 bills, could I divide that evenly by 54 people? No, I cannot. 0 times 54, 0. 19 minus 0 is 19. Bring down my 4. Now I have to say, well, okay, if I had 194 $10 bills, how many $10 bills would each of the 54 people get? That's a 0, by the way. So let's see. I know that 54 times 1, 54 times 2, 54 times 3, 54 times 4 will be too much, so it will fall in between these two. So I'm going to round up and turn around and go back to my higher numbers. So that's going to be 3. When I say higher, I mean on the list, not the actual amount. All right, so 3 times 54 is 162. 162. 4 minus 2 is 2. 9 tens minus 6 tens, 3 tens. 100 minus 100 is 0. Next, bring down my 4. Now I have 324 divided by 54. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. So 36 is my answer. And of course, we know that 36 is around 40. All right, moving on. All right, so we're doing the same thing. We're solving using standard algorithm. And we're using this thought bubble to show our thinking as we rename the divisor as a whole number. Let's go ahead and get through this rather quickly. So we have our multiples listed here. I would highly suggest that you list your multiples, even if you have to say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And if you don't have the skip count, I'd rather have you skip count here and get your first 9 multiples of whatever number. In this case is 5, 6, 8, and 16. I'd rather have you skip count and get those numbers than make a mistake in your division because you don't know the multiples. All right, so let's that, and we'll pick up here. So we have our first problem partially done. Let's go ahead and pick up where they left off. Let's do some long division. If I had $300 and I divided it by 6 people, could I do that? No, I could not. 3 divided by 6 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Bring down my 8. Remember the steps. I'll write them out here. Division, multiplication, subtraction, bring down, repeat. Went through all of those steps once. Now let's do it again, repeating everything. 38 divided by 6. Well, I know 36 is closest to 38. We're falling between 36 and 42. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract, I get 2. Bring down, I have my 4. And here's 4. 24 is right there. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. My answer is 64. All right, let's do the same thing here. Thought process, they want to see it. So I have 7 and 52 hundredths divided by 8 hundredths. All right, so I know that I'm just going to jump 1, 2 places here, 1, 2 places here, and it's equal to 752 divided by 8. Let's write it out. I'll write a little bit bigger than they did. 752 divided by 8. So if I have 7 hundredths, can I divide it by 8 people? No, I cannot. 8 times 0. 0. 7 minus 0 is 7. Bring down my 5. 75. How many times does 8 go into 75? I know it's going to be 9 because 72 is less than. Now I have 80 here, so 72 would fall. 75 would fall in between 72 and 80. So I'm always going to go back to this number here, the lower of the two value. So I have 9. 9 times 8, it says 72. Subtract, I have 3. Bring down, I get 32. 32 divided by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 4. 32 divided by 8 is 4 because 4 times 8 is 32. The subtraction I'm done. My answer is 94. All right, now they want me to do the whole thing again here. All right, I'm going to go with quick version here. Rewrite my division equation as a fraction. I know that I only have to move over one time because my divisor is only out to the tenths. Tenths has the word 10 in it, so I know I'm really multiplying by 10 over 10. I did that, move over one time, move my decimal place over one time so that the number gets bigger. That's multiplying it by 10. And I have 124 and 5 tenths divided by 5. So 124 and 5 tenths divided by 5. Our decimal up here. Make sure your decimals are aligned. These place value units have to be lined up. If you need to, you can do something like this. You have your hundredths place. I know that's not perfect, but we're going to go with it. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's go. Now I have 100 divided by 5. Can I do it? No, I cannot. 0. 5 times 0, 0. 1 minus 0, 1. Bring down my 2. I have 12 divided by 5. Well, I know 12 will fall in between 10 and 15. I'm going to go up and say 10, which is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, I get 2. Bring down my 4. 24 will fall in between 20 and 25. So I'm going to go up to 20 and say 1, 2, 3, 4. Because 4 times 5 equals 20. Now I have 24 minus 20, I get 4. Bring down my 5. 45 divided by 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is my answer. 45. We didn't estimate here, but our estimation would have probably been around 25. Okay, so our true answer is 24 and 9 tenths. Last one on this page here. See if we can get through this quickly. I'm going to start to pick up the pace here because this video is already about 20 some odd minutes. I had to move over 2 places here, but there's no placeholder. I can draw a 0 in there if I want. There was no placeholder. The reason why I had to move 2 places because my 16 was out to the hundredths place, 16 hundredths. So in order to get that to 16, I had to move over twice. I had to do the same thing in my denominator. Excuse me, I had to do the same thing in my numerator as I did in my denominator. So now I have 560 divided by 16. Well, here's my 16 timetables. 500 divided by 16 I cannot do without decomposing. 16 times 0, 5 minus 0, bring down my 6. I say, how many times is 16 going to 56, or 56 divided by 16? I know 56 will fall in between 48 and 64, so I'm going to say here, that's 1, 2, 3 times. 3 times 16 is 48. Do the subtraction. Now I have 6 ones minus 8 ones. I cannot do that. What I have to do is say, okay, I'm going to take one of my $10 bills, turn it into 10 ones. Now instead of having 5 $10 bills, I have 4 $10 bills, but that one $10 bill came back as 10 ones. 1 10 is equal to 10 ones. So 56 is equal to 4 10s and 16 ones. You count it from 40, add 16, and you'll get 56. Now I have 16 minus 8 is 8. And I have 4 minus 4 is 0. Bring down my 0. How many times does 16 go into 80? Or 80 divided by 16? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My answer is going to be 35. 5 times 16 is 80. Do my subtraction. 80 minus 8 is 0. And we have 35. Next problem. Lucy is making a 21 6/10 centimeter beaded string to hang on the window. She decides to put a green bead every 4/10 of a centimeter and a purple bead every 6/10 of a centimeter. How many green beads and how many purple beads will she need? All right, let's take a look here. So we have every 4/10 is going to be a green bead. So we're going to do that one first. Let's say 21 6/10 divided by every 4/10. So let's just rewrite that. 21 and 4, oops, it's 40/10. 21 6/10 divided by 4/10. I can put my 0 in there also. So now we know we need to multiply by 10 over 10 to get this to equal 216 over 4. And I say, well, 216 divided by 4. Look at our 4 times tables. Well, I know that's a 0 because 200ths divided by 4 is going to be 0. It can't split 200ths by 4 without decomposing. Do my subtraction, bring down, and I have 21 divided by 4. Well, I know 21 is going to fall in between 20 and 24 on the multiples, and I'm going to go up to 20. That's going to be 5 times 4. Remember, this is our fraction. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract 1, bring down 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 16. So my answer is going to be 54 for the first part. So she's going to need 54 green beads. And let's take a look at the other color. What was that? Purple. Let's take a look at the purple beads. So we have 21 6/10 divided by, now we're going to have divided by every 6/10. So if you notice in my divisor here, I do have a 0 in my ones place. Here I do not. I just forgot to put it in. I was writing kind of quick. I think I wrote this as a 4. But either way, you want to put that placeholder in there most of the time. You don't have to, but usually we do. So now we have 21 and 6/10 over 6/10. We know we need to multiply by 10 over 10 to get 216 divided by 6. And that's going to be 216 divided by 6. We have our multiples of 6. We don't have our multiples of 6 here, but we should know our multiples of 6. If you need to write them down, you can. All right, so now we have our first 9 multiples of 6, and we say, well, we had 200s divided by 6. We can't do that without decomposing. That's a 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down my 1. I have 21. 21 is going to fall between 18 and 24. I'm going to go here with the 18 and say 1, 2, 3 times. 21 divided by 6 is going to give me 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 minus, 21 minus 18. I know I have to take one of my 10s and get 10 ones. 11 minus 8 is 3. And then I have 10 minus 110, and that's 0. So now I have, bring down my 6. I'm sorry about the color change here. I have 36 divided by 6, and I know that that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be 36. Now my answer is 36 as well, but that's not because of that last 36 that I circled there. It just so happens to be the same thing. So if you think about this, she would need 36 purple beads. However, because you have some multiples, like for example, when we come to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 24th spot here, or the 24th, 10th, 24th spot where the 4 and 6 meet, the beads, there will be both a purple and a green bead there. So this really is a little confusing, but this is the answer they were looking for. Excuse me. She would need 54 purple beads and, 54 green beads and 36 purple beads. Let's take a look at this. Number 5, a group of 14 friends collect 7/10 of a pound of blueberries and decide to make blueberry muffins. They put 5/100ths of a pound of blueberries in each muffin. How many muffins can they make if they use all the blueberries they collected? So they collected 7/10. So that's going to be our whole. So we have 7/10. And we're dividing it into fifths. Excuse me, not fifths, into 5/100ths. So each one of these is going to be equal to 5/100ths. Right? 5/100ths, 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 and that's going to be all the way up until we get to the last one, which is going to also be 5/100ths of a pound. So we would basically, we're saying 7/10 of a pound divided into 5/100ths of a pound. We know that's going to be 7/10 over 5/100ths, and then we have times 100 over 100. Since it's out to hundredths, times 100 over equals 1, 2, 1, 2, 70 over 5, and they will be able to make, let's see, 70 divided by 5. Yep. 7's here, but I should have my 5 timetables. So we know our 5 timetables, and we can just, let's see. list our 5 times tables out here. No, we shouldn't need to list our 5 times tables out. Let's just go ahead and wing it. So we know that how many times does 5 go into 7? Well, 1 time. 5 times 1 or 1 times 5 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down 20. 20 divided by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. That's our answer. They'll be able to make 20 muffins. Excuse me, they'll be able to make 20 blueberry muffins. That's our answer. They'll be able to make 14 blueberry muffins. All right, so that was a 40-minute video. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and feel free to drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Longest video I've done in a while. Hopefully this was beneficial to at least one person. If it was worth the 40 minutes of my time. Thank you, and like and subscribe.